Video 3, you're going to get two parent functions, the first of which is the quadratic function, which is just f of x equals x squared. That's the parent function. And then the second one is going to be x squared plus 3.79. So exactly what is this 3.79 doing to the parent function? And as you may have guessed, that 3.79 is a vertical shift up. So the graph is going to move up 3.79 as best we can units, right? And that is literally the picture of this graph right here. And then if you look at the second one, we have x minus 4. Now this is inside the parentheses. Notice this one didn't have anything inside the parentheses. Well, this inside the parentheses is responsible for moving it left and right. So here, we're going to move this graph to the right 4. You might think minus 4 would be left 4. It's not, because if you think about if you plugged in 4 for x, that would give you 0, comma, negative 1. So you plug in 4, you get negative 1. So that shifts the vertex right 4. And then the minus 1 is actually going to move it down 1. So if it's inside the parentheses, it's left and right. If it's outside, it's going to be up and down. And that's true for all the parent functions. So we have x minus 4. So we're going to take our graph and shift it to the right 4, which would put it right here. And then the minus 1 on the outside moves it down 1. And that would be our new graph. So the first part of your challenge here is to figure out the domain, range, and zeros of this newly created graph, which is this function here. The second part of this video 3 is going to be the cubic function. And on this one, we don't have a parent function graphed, which is okay, because we can still figure that out. All that we need to do is basically make a t-chart of x and y values so that we can work with it. So I'm just going to put in negative 2 all the way to positive 2. And 1, 2. And I'm going to give my y value. So negative 2 to the third is negative 8. Negative 1 to the third is still negative 1. 0 to the third is 0. 1 to the third is 1. 2 to the third is 8. So I'm going to get these coordinates right there, right there, right there, and 1, 1, and 2, comma, 8. And all I'm going to do is just connect these so that I have a graph that looks like my cubic function, more or less, right? So what I want to look at now is this first translation here. So it's going to be plus 3.5. Now, it's inside the parentheses here. It's not on the outside. And when we get something inside the parentheses, it's going to be left or right. Now with the plus, it's actually going to move it left. So I am going to take this graph and simply just shift it left 3.5 points. And that essentially would be the graph. Obviously, not all of it came with it, but you can see it. And if I move this one, it would be right 4, because it's inside, that's left and right. So it's going to move the original graph, right, which is this. It would take this graph and move it right 4. And then as you may have guessed, this plus 6 would move it all so that it's up 6. And it would get something that looks more or less like that, right, with the arrows. So what I want you guys to do is take a look at this graph or take a look at this equation and figure out its domain, range, and its zero.